I
He's
know
outside.
mine will probably show up. Hello, everybody. We are live. Um, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We just had Mabon, Blessed Mabon, or Mabon, as some people pronounce it. Spring equinox, fall is finally here. Yay! My favorite season of the
Yes.
year. And Nancy and I are so happy, and I'm so honored to have Aimee from Mystic Rose Tarot joining us today. This is the first time Aimee's been on my channel, so
Yes.
thank you, Aimee.
Thank
Um,
you.
I appreciate you. So I know you don't come onto too many channels, do too many collaborations these days. So I'm very honored that you came to mine to hang out with Nancy and I. And actually, Aimee did a video. I did a live yesterday. I put that link in the description below. I had to leave early, but I do believe you're going through the different signs and talking about how the signs represent different seasons. And so I want to make sure that people had a link to that video to watch to kind of coincide with today's show. And I just look because sometimes my little boy's sitting right next to me, looking
Uh,
at me, waiting for me to. So I have two black kitties, Aimee. So
oh, I want to see them later on.
one of them comes in. Her name is Ziva. Only really when she wants to be fed. The other one, he loves to come in when he wants attention because he's like, "Oh, mommy, who you're talking to? I want attention now too." So to start off, and I will get to saying hello to everybody. But I was going through one of my books that I've had. I think since the year that this came out, I got this when I was living in Arizona. Um, Her name is Phyllis Carreau, and she has this wonderful book called Witchcrafting. It's still in print, and I was looking for her passage for Mabon just to see what she wanted to write down and share because I really like how she approaches magic practices and ritual and sharing her story. And I asked the ladies if I could start the show off with reading this. So this is what she wrote. Um, okay. This is a moment of perfect balance, for day and night are equal. We gather to turn the wheel as the energies of life flow toward darkness and repose. Mabon is the ritual of rejoicing in the richness of the earth and the power of the sun, without which we could not live. It is the time to give thanks for their gifts and rejoice in the bounty we have harvested for ourselves in our work, our relationships, our spiritual journeys. This is also the time we reflect upon those aspects of our lives that no longer serve us, serve our growth and happiness, and we let go of them so that we may continue to grow. The great Mother Earth has fulfilled her promise of nourishment and life, and now she becomes the crone. The God who has danced with her and loved with her has bestowed his energy and power, and now he becomes the wise old God. We give thanks to them for all of our blessings. So mote be. So I really wanted to share that.
Oh, that's
That's
beautiful, Heather. Thank you.
And I didn't realize until I found a video of this lady. I can't remember her name offhand. I think she's in Australia. And I didn't realize Mabon or Mabon was actually a newer holiday concept. It's Wiccan, and it was actually introduced by a gentleman named Aidan Kelly in the early 70s. They were looking to add a few extra names to the Wiccan calendar of the year, and for this time of year, the equinox or the autumnal equinox, they were trying to find a name that fit for them, and they came across the story or mythology of a god named Mabon, who's was kidnapped from his mother Madrone, which is very interesting because I used to follow Morgan Le Fay or work with Morgan Le Fay, and some say Madrone, Morgan Le Fay, Morgan are kind of intrinsically connected. And it was King Arthur on a quest that found Madrone, rescued him, and the story goes on. So I didn't realize that Mabon was actually named after a Celtic Welsh god. So all different kinds of things that you learn. And some people also consider Mabon a pagan Thanksgiving, which was something new to me. I saw that too pop up. So I just want to share all of that. And thank you, ladies, for letting me share that passage. And just to, did you have something that you want to share before we said hello, Aimee?
I want to ask, the book with Phyllis, does she talk about does she talk about the Wheel of the Year? Does she go through all the
She goes
Sabbaths?
through all the Sabbaths. What I read was what she would use in a ritual
Okay.
as part of it, but is when everybody's in the circle. This is what the high priestess, would read.
Mhm.
I know the goddess that she mentioned in here, which was very interesting, was Hecate or Hecate, which was who we were discussing last week with Bobby. So I found that very interesting. But when I read that passage today, while doing laundry, waiting for laundry to be done at the laundromat, I said, "This is beautiful. I want to share it." I've had this book since 2006 or so, or even I think or 2003 when it first came out. And this is one of the books that's never going to leave my side,
Yeah.
when we move. So that's always been just really, because I love how she talks about, because we all know, I'm trying not to digress a little bit, but one of the things I love about Phyllis is that I used to do a show early on when I first did my channel called Witchy Wednesday for fun. And Colleen and the Cool Crone and I would come on every week, and we would talk about Wiccan or pagan concepts. And one of them was the law, the threefold law.
Mhm.
Do as thou will, harm none. But she even challenged that concept in this book, saying, well, why do we need that? Intrinsically, there's the word today. And, we know intimately that we shouldn't do that at all, because if we intentionally cause harm to others, that means we are causing harm to the divine that we work with, that we honor.
Mhm.
And so there shouldn't need to be a Wiccan read or code, because it be innate in all of us that whatever magic we practice, it is for the highest good of all involved and harming none. So there should be no. And I love how she challenges, some of the tradition thoughts. So this book has been a keeper on my shelf all these
I
years.
want to get it. I want to get it. That sounds wonderful because I like to get different takes, like I showed you, ancient ways last
Remember
time.
that, yes.
And I was looking for books a few years ago during the pandemic. It's like, I want to get back to tradition and just read about it, just see how things developed and where they are now. This book came out, Ancient Ways. I know I announced it yesterday. I think the first edition was 1991.
Yep,
And
I was in my 20s when that came out, because I remember that cover.
wow. Did you buy it back then?
No,
No?
I
Okay.
was all Scott Cunningham
Oh, okay.
and
Yes.
Silver Ravenwolf. So
Yeah.
those were my initial teachers, and Scott Cunningham is still on my shelf as well.
Oh, yeah. He's not going anywhere. He's the book that I used for my incense and oils to create little blends
I
and
have to
stuff.
get that again, but
Yeah.
yes.
A friend of mine who owns a shop, I don't know if she still has it, but I remember at least 10 years ago, I saw that book on the side,
Mhm.
and the pages were like taped together and it was highlighted and you could see notes. It was like a cookbook basically, and it was starting to fall apart. So I don't know how she saved it, but yes, Scott Cunningham. And now with this book with Phyllis, that would be, it's called
It's called
the
Witchcrafting, and
witchcrafting. Okay.
it is on Amazon. It's a different cover.
That's okay.
So which means is that when we move next year and I can afford, I'm going to get myself a new copy, because I've always loved the artwork on the front of this, and I would love to put that in my one of my, either my book of shadows or one of my journals, as part of a spiritual collage. Um, so let's say hi to some people really quick. We have 10 people with us right now. So let's see. We have the lovely Ange, Roots and Waves. Hello, my dear. I know I'm so excited too to have Aimee today. Um, and so let's see. My scroll's not working. And we have the lovely Nancy here with us, and the lovely, really quick, everybody. Again, thank you for everyone who sent prayers that I reached out to, that Lily Grace made it home safe and sound to her mama. She's actually with Nancy right now. So just Mabon blessings and gratitude
Yeah.
that her little angel came back home. So thank you again, everybody, for the prayers and shenanigans. Hello, hello. Did someone say shenanigans? But I just love calling them shenanigans. So hello, hello. And the lovely Garnet. Hello, Garnet, my dear. Thank you for being here. Brienne, I remember seeing you yesterday.
Yeah.
Hello, my dear. Brienne Love is here. Welcome. And okay, so it's probably already gone, but I can't stay. Oh, you got some acupuncture to do. All righty. But
Ooh.
thank you for dropping by and saying hi. There's always replay. So
Yeah.
we appreciate you dropping by and hitting that like button and making sure everyone goes over to Aimee's channel and subscribe to her. And I'll open the floor up in a minute for Aimee to share with people who are not maybe not be familiar with Aimee that are regularly on my channel. So love that. Hello, Jamie. Welcome. I think you're new too. I think I saw you maybe in Aimee's channel yesterday. So a lot of new faces. It's always
Yeah.
nice to see them. Thank you for being here. Check out Sweet Nancy. Oh, so Ange is putting all the links in. Thank you, Ange.
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, before I open the floor to Aimee, Nancy, was there anything that you wanted to share about Mabon? Anything in any of your books that you wrote that you wanted to share or
No,
read?
I am just thrilled that it is officially autumn.
Woo!
I mean,
I
I'm
love this
a
time of year.
very happy girl.
Me too.
Isn't that strange how that happens? The seasons.
Autumn is my favorite. This is the time of year when I feel the most like in my power or me more connected to my spiritual self than any other time during the year. And I feel like I'm in my own skin. I feel comfortable in my own skin
Yeah.
this time of year. And being an artist, I love the colors. So
Oh yeah.
fall and spring are my favorite, years for time of year for. Yes, exactly, Jamie.
Yeah. All of those colors, definitely.
Yes, and then some. And the lovely Agador is singing for us as well. Hello,
I hear.
Agador.
He's
And
fussing. He wants out of his cage, but
and Ange is like, I'm an autumn girl too.
yes.
Yes. And it's so beautiful because already going outside, I can smell the leaves on the ground
Oh,
and just that rich smell in the air. It was kind of humid here today, but that was okay. I didn't mind it too much because it just brought that scent in even stronger of the rain and the dry leaves. And oh, it's just beautiful.
so are you
Beautiful,
officially
beautiful.
getting fall there? Like the weather's cooling down and rain?
It's starting to cool down. We had rain today. My trees up front of our apartment complex is turning that beautiful yellow. So we have the yellow green right now.
Oh,
And
pretty.
within the next week or so, there's a park that we're going to go to, and the trees are just magnificent, during the
Oh,
fall
excellent.
season there. So I love the smell of the earth too, Ange. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. And
Oh yes.
there's that scent in the springtime when everything starts to awaken and you can smell that in the air and you can feel that. For me, summer's kind of hard because of the heat, kind of draws out my energy, kind of knocks me out. But then when the fall comes and those scents start to return, and the nights get longer, and oh, I just love that. So,
I think it's
and
this time of the year, the earthiness, the smells, it's affecting.
Oh,
I mean, Nancy, with us being Taurus, it's just like it opens up all our senses and it
oh
just makes us
yes.
feel like, oh
oh, some
yeah.
more Tauruses.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I said more Tauruses.
Yes,
Who's the
our
other Taurus?
birthdays are very close together,
Yeah.
day wise, not year wise.
Yeah.
But my counselor that I've had for about 7 years now, since 2017, um, she's been one of my rocks, really too. She's more family. I mean, she's my counselor, but she knows
Mhm.
things that even Shan doesn't know about me. That's how much I can trust her, or
Yeah.
I feel safe enough to share with her. And she's a Taurus, and
Mm.
so my friend Amanda, that I've known since 1995. We were 25 years old. She's Taurus, so I'm starting to see I have a relationship with Tauruses. So enough about me. So we're going to give this over to Aimee. And
Ooh,
Aimee, I open the floor to you and whatever you want to share with
wow.
everybody about you.
When it comes to something like this, now I feel like I'm put on the spot here. I I always tell people it
Do you
helps
want me to
me.
take you off? Do you want me to
No,
take you
no,
to
no,
okay.
no. It helps if someone asks me questions because I'm not someone that can just, and I'm learning this because I'm starting to do workshops, so I have to introduce myself anyway to, people. So I can't say, ask me a question and then I'll do this.
Okay. For people who are new that will probably be watching also on playback, you're a reader. You mentioned that you do readings.
Yes.
How long have you been reading?
Tarot reading wise, I picked up probably the first deck, and it really wasn't a tarot deck. It was everyone knows this who's been exploring different kinds of oracle and tarot decks. It's the Gypsy Witch Oracle. It's that orange box with the
Mhm.
little silhouette of the witch and the little cat there. And I just, when I saw that, I'm like, I like that. And I already had a cat at the time, and I was like, that could be me. And that's how I just started um, exploring it. But it made sense to me. It wasn't like something that was quizzical. It's just, it felt really natural. And I read how to do the layouts. So I started there, and then time disappeared because I was still in high school. Then college came, and I went to the Rider-Waite-Smith like most people do, and I explored that. And that deck, there are 2 decks that I no longer read with because they were part of a journey during a part of my life that I felt I poured every single part of myself into these 2 decks. So, the decks I don't read with is the Rider-Waite-Smith and, the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. I wanted to follow up with the RWS because it's pretty tame color-wise, and for me, energy-wise, it's like, okay, I wanna do something that has a little bit more energy. I wanna connect with a deck that has more energy, and that's when I went to the Gilded Tarot. So the Gilded Tarot took me to at least 10 years. I spent 10 years with that deck going through changes of all sorts, losses, and because of that, because of the intensity of that time period for me, I feel if I was to pull these 2 particular decks out and read with them, I feel like I'm revealing myself to people. Even though they don't know it, they don't know anything, about my past or anything. It's one of these decks that it feels like it's like my baby, and it's gonna stay as a baby because I went through so much with it. So it's that personal connection I have with those 2 decks that I don't read with anymore. Um, so then from there, I wanted to explore the Doth, and I started, and then I started seeing that deck in particular, a lot of information, visually, symbolically, energy. There was just so much in there that I actually stopped. I got involved with a career doing production work, and that was my calling at that time. So I stopped tarot. So I had a long chunk of time where I stopped, and it wasn't until probably 8 years ago that hi, Jonathan. I returned
Hello, hi, Jonathan.
tarot, and I felt like the time was right. I had just moved to the mountains. I was starting to go into a different part of my life, and, I felt it was a time of healing and reflecting back on those last 10, 15, 20 years and seeing where I am now versus where I was then. And then everything started falling into place. lockdown came in, and that's when I met Nancy, Heather. Heather, I think I met you probably the year after lockdown, something like that.
I met
Virtually,
you when you were in New Mexico.
really.
You
It
had
Oh,
wasn't
just moved
okay.
there. You had just moved there, and
I
you were
thought,
there. I think looking at a staying for at a house for a friend or something.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, she's in New Mexico. I remember, because I started thinking about when I went through New Mexico, Arizona. So that's around the time when I became familiar with you. Yeah, you're Jan.
Ah,
And then
okay.
on and off during the years as we all jump around.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I thought it was during lockdown, but like a year after. Okay. So New Mexico it is.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
so that's pretty much my journey. I started bringing some astrology into the tarot
Hmm.
during lockdown. Lockdown gave me more time to really connect with new decks, see where my relationship is with older decks,
Yeah,
or
she's the
was
astrology queen here. You know
who is.
so much about the different astrologies and the
That's
signs.
so
I
funny.
mean, it's so intricate. It just blows my mind. So,
That's so funny. You said the astrology queen. I go, who's that? I don't know. Not me. Not me. I'm not an
oh, you.
astrologer. Just so people know, I work with the basics of astrology, the signs, the planets, the houses. And the reason
Mm,
why I don't go any further than that is that with the tarot, it's kind of hard to really read aspects and transits. Um, there is an oracle deck that is completely astrology that I could infuse with it, but that tarot reading with a little bit of astrology can easily become an astrology reading. And I was starting to see that, I think I'm coming to terms that if I want to do astrology more, I'm going to have to leave tarot. There's
mm,
just so much information that I would have to stop. That's just me. I would have to stop reading the tarot and just devote my focus fully on astrology, and I don't feel that. I don't feel I can make that commitment or that I do want to make that commitment. I'm very much connected with the decks and the energy and just, meeting with people. I can see the basics of a natal chart and just look, oh, okay, there's a lot happening in this area of your chart and maybe not so much, but transits, aspects, all the different ways of breaking down a chart. It's not me.
well, I know I'm always blown away. Usually when people start talking about astrology, if you go past what the sign represents, then my brain just glazes right over. One of our young ladies that joined our community, Karen, um, Care Bear Bard of Cards, she is taking an astrology class. And she says there's just so many layers, but she's loving it. And she loves how she can start bringing that into, her readings as well. And she's an amazing poet as well. So, but yeah, to me, it seems like anybody who, can understand the signs and what they relate to the cards. I mean, when you read a lot of your readings, I have noticed, at least for myself, you really bring in the basic astrology into a reading. It's just not
Mhm.
what the card is, but you bring in, you add that the astrology is like that little extra spice, then, like you add to a sauce, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up the reading so much more, and that's why I wanted to bring the astrology in. And I'm surprised with some of the people that I've been reading for, they don't know anything about astrology, and so I have to, when I do a reading, it gets really intense. And so at times, and then I can just start going on into the nuances and relating to the planetary energy, the sign energy, the relationship of the major arcana, if it is in a reading, minor arcana, the decans, goes on and on and on. And then I have to stop and think, this woman or man that I'm doing a reading for must be like going, I don't comprehend.
Especially when you start throwing decades in there, my brain's just like, what's I'm
Yeah.
still, yeah.
But I always check in. I always wanna make sure that the person I'm reading for that, and I can sort of tell, I'm like, "Are you with me? Do you understand what I'm saying?" Because I say, "Don't feel any fear or any apprehension not to say anything if you don't understand, because this is your time." You know, this is your space with me, and I want you to leave the table or virtual table here, understanding, what I gave for you, because then it just goes in like that, and then they
Yeah.
don't remember, they don't retain anything.
So Nancy, so I don't hog any the whole conversation. Is there anything you wanted to ask Aimee?
You okay, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was just thinking, your readings, I love the way you connect with people, and your readings are so, to me, they are so profound. And you, in a large part, are the person that made me want to read for people, to have that special connection, and to try and be a light for people, and I appreciate you so much. I have the 5th tarot because of you.
You got it.
I got it, yes. And I absolutely love it. And I love the spiritual aspect of it, because it has 5 suits. It incorporates the ethers, and I just think it's a beautiful deck. And I appreciate your interviews with deck creators, because it when you go through all of that, you get to see the deck, but you also get to see the story behind its creation.
Yeah.
And like the art, how in the 5th tarot, how that art progressed through, as they went onward with the deck, the artwork progressed and became more profound, I think.
Wow.
But I just appreciate Aimee, and I'm just so happy that she's here. Do you have any special deck that you're working with now that you just absolutely love?
Yeah. And well, waiting for it to come. The deck in the red box.
Oh.
This is it's funny because I feel like tarot karma is coming back to me, and what I mean by that is the Wild Unknown tarot. I never got into when it first came out. It was all over social media, and I looked at it, and where I was at that time, I'm like, I'm not getting it. I'm not connecting with it. And fast forward, that's probably like 5, 6 years ago. Mel, we know, Willie Hermit, gifted me this deck because I was starting to feel a connection to it, and she wasn't working with the deck anymore. And I got the deck and I played with it, and I think what was missing is it really touched more of connecting more with my intuition, because there's no keywords on it. There's just the numbers, and I don't think there's any words on it, come to think about it, except the name of the suit.
No, you've done several readings for me, and I don't remember names. Yeah.
And so there was a time and a place for that deck, and so I embraced it. And the same with this deck, which is the Tabula Mundi by M.M. Moline. And I'll just show you the deck, because I did a video talking about the planetary influences of Mercury. So this is our major arcana for Virgo, sidereal Virgo.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And this is the deck that I've been working off and on with the last few months. And Mel, M.M. Moline, has a follow-up for this deck, and it's called the Telos, Telos, Tarot of 777. So she does make some reference to, what's the name? Aleister Crowley's book. Now, I don't want to freak anyone out, but what she's doing is she's taking the interpretation of the book that's slipping my mind right now that Aleister Crowley wrote about the tarot, and she's doing a visual interpretation of his words of each of these cards. She's a Thalamite, so her perspective on this does show some influence of the Thoth. It's very esoteric, and so this deck has been successfully funded through Kickstarter. So she's finishing up. I should be getting the deck sometime next month. So those two decks I'm going to work with. It's coming at the perfect time of the year.
Oh, yes.
To connect with, especially a new deck, because I don't get new decks, but I did make a promise to myself, and I was going to follow through with it, that I would, hey, Spirit, that I would get this deck. So I want to compare it and see how Buddha, and just see the energy, see what she took from Aleister Crowley's book, and how she translated it visually and meaning wise, esoteric wise. So that's the Tupelo Mundi. This was a deck I didn't like, and it came to me earlier this year. I'm like, okay, it's time. So,
and I've been starring some question. I have a question from somebody in chat for you, and just some comments. Jamie early on said, "I absolutely needed hearing this. I have a deck I need to retire." So this is when you were initially beginning to sing, sharing how there are decks that you will not use anymore. And I don't know if you saw this. I put this up there that Anne says she remembers when you had that beautiful home in the mountains with the wood paneling walls.
Missed it. I do miss it.
It sounds beautiful. And Garnet would like to know, Aimee, does she do channeling?
Hands down, no. No. Not that it's a bad thing. I don't have that kind of connection. I feel things. So I guess that could be a form of channeling, but not channeling spirits or anything like that.
And we also have Ange that said, I have the 5th tarot and book as well because I saw it on Aimee's channel. It's such a special deck. I think of Aimee when I use it. It's fairly new to me, a birthday gift. So that's lovely.
Oh, wonderful. It's very special, isn't it? That deck.
And Jonathan says, I have the Vision Quest Tarot as a Aimee made me do it deck.
Whoa, wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah, that's it. I have that too. That was you.
Do you have it, Heather?
No.
Take a look at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's very desert-like.
Ooh, okay. And Brianne Love says, been working with the tarot landscapes this summer. Beautiful art, Yoshi Mori. So I'm not familiar.
Oh, beautiful.
I really have an issue with, for me, I really need to resonate with the artwork. And if it just doesn't, but I'll definitely, and let me see here. Aleister Crowley lived in Scotland near Loch Ness and tried to summon, oh, good Lord. You know, my first deck I ever had, well, the first time I was ever introduced to a tarot deck was in high school when a local poet came to my high school and asked the English department, especially my teacher, do you have any students who would be interested in doing maybe a couple weeks workshop with me, you know, with a poet? And I was like, oh, I'll go. And me and this other kid in my class, Johnny, says, I'll go. And so we're sitting down and she goes, have you guys ever heard of tarot? And I'm like, yeah, but not really. And she pulled out the Thoth deck, or the Thoth or Thoth deck. And she asked us to pick out a card that we resonated with, that we were drawn to, and write a poem about. And of course, I saw the High Priestess. I was like, oh my God. But then later on, I found out after I had purchased it what kind of a person Crowley was like. To me, it automatically sent bad vibes through me. Even though I love the artwork, I had to let it go. But I'm starting to kind of warm up to it again. So we'll see. But
it's interesting too, because some of the most eccentric, mad-minded individuals create some of the most, awe-inspiring work because of the way that they see things. They see things from a different lens. Crowley, I believe, is a Libra. or Virgo sidereal, or I think he was born in the middle of October. So those individuals fascinate me, because they see things in such a wild realm. It kind of wants me to understand more. It's like, okay,
Golden
where's
Dawn.
this coming from? Yeah, the Golden Dawn.
So
Another one.
I have a friend. We all know his name is Tom. Early Ritual. He's all about exploring Crowley and the Hermetic, the Gold Dawn, the Kabbalah, all aspects of it, the dark, the light, looking at the balance. And he's like, "Girl, you got to give that deck another chance." I'm like, he goes, "You got to separate." Well, he says you really should maybe consider separating yourself from the negative stuff that he done and look at it because for me it was always about the art. I'm an artist, so I'm always looking at certain decks that with the art and the color. For me, I always felt more strongly connected to Lady Frida's artwork than I did Pamela's, which has gotten me in some hot water a little bit lately.
Okay.
Because
There
I'm
is a
like,
difference.
I think she's a better artist than Pamela, and I guess for some people that was like blasphemy. And some people have done this to me. They'll be like, "No, not talking." But at some point, I think I will get back into because I do love the colors and I do love the artwork. And
Yeah.
Jamie says everything you just said is in tune with some things I have going on and needing navigation with.
Let
And
it speak to you, Heather. Just let it speak to you, like what Jonathan was saying. I don't have the Doth deck. I passed it down to another tarot reader who never had the Doth deck. I go, okay, I'm giving the deck for you. And it's not because of fear. I just didn't connect with it. So I look for inspired decks, that have that influence. But maybe it is good for you to have the Doth deck just to kind of look at it and just kind of feel for it, and then find a deck that you feel comfortable with that's like the equivalent to it.
no, I mean, I still love her artwork, and I think that as I've grown as a, I don't know, say spiritually or intuitively, I understand being able to separate, you know, um, the ego, the
Yeah.
individual's ego, and allow the art. And so, because for me, my fear was, and I'm letting go of it, was just that his negative, or some people say, well, there's something wrong with somebody who works with the negative or the chaos. But for me, I have too much of that in my life.
Okay.
So I needed to make sure that I worked with a deck that did not bring in any of that energy that would already throw off what I am working on trying to balance and to rebuild. But I have a feeling at some point I'll be able to go back to that deck. And one of the things that, I mean, before I go and ask you my next question, or one of the things that I admire about you, was there anything else that you wanted to add with the decks that you were just sharing with everybody? Or
I rotate my decks seasonally. There's always a time and a place, like the Vision Quest Tarot. That's definitely a summer deck, but surprisingly, I didn't reach for it, and I think because of its artwork, when you see it, it's very desert. It's paying tradition to indigenous tribes, and the practices of connecting with spirit, with earth, air, fire, water, the way it's depicted. It's beautiful, but I'm not in the desert. And so that's more than likely why I didn't reach for it. I did see it when we were at the start of summer, but it wasn't the deck that spoke to me. I don't want to get rid of it because it has sacred energy for me, and I want to hold respect for that, and see where I am when I come back to that deck, and see where I am now versus where I was then working with this deck.
okay. Now for the Mabon. So let me skip that
Yeah,
other question I was going to ask you,
sorry.
because this is we just had the Mabon, celebrating Mabon, and I couldn't stay for your whole show. I didn't know if you ended up pulling out a deck to talk about. But what decks do you feel drawn to for the Mabon or Mabon
Yeah.
holiday? Which decks do you like to use?
Definitely the Wildwood Tarot, because it does focus on all the seasons, but for me, it's a deck for fall, winter, and spring. Um, and just because of the natural element, I mean, for those who don't
Oh,
know the
you're
deck,
there
yeah,
we go. Okay, you want to put that one back up there? Now
yeah,
get you on the big screen. Is that the
yeah.
one with the mouse that goes?
With
Oh no,
the
it's a different one. Okay, that's
the
beautiful.
back is like this.
Oh, those are gorgeous. That
Yeah,
back, very nice.
and this was another deck that I didn't feel called to for a long time. I would see it, and I was on the fence about it. And then it's a deck that I was using. I bought it during lockdown. I've worn it down
Oh
quite
my
a
goodness, great
bit.
deck. Yes, it's
And the
much
stock
loved.
is it's pretty durable. It's not too easy to shuffle, but yeah, I put a
Maybe
lot of,
some stones will pop out.
I know, only for Nancy. So, so this is a deck that I work with during this time of the year, right up to spring. And then the reading I did last night on my channel, I worked with that deck.
Hey
And
Gerald,
hey, Gerald.
he says
And
that's a deck well loved. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? That caught my eye.
The Witch's
Yeah.
Oracle.
The Witch's Oracle. Oh, that's pretty. I like the front cover
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And that's the back.
Love that.
Oh. Sometimes I
And
see the cover on the back on them when I get the cards. It's like, you know. So I have to make sure I watch flip throughs from now on.
yeah, yeah, the videos that people put up
It's
is
almost my Muzzy.
is it?
I
So
got a
this is
black
one of the
kitty.
cards that I pulled from last night. That's right, you had to leave
Yes,
early.
I had dinner. Yeah, it was
Reading.
9:00.
So this is from the Witch's Oracle. And so I use these cards to sort of set a direction for the season. The cards that I pulled from the Wildwood. Beforehand, a few years back, I was doing readings for all the signs for fall. So I was doing a reading for Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. I don't have that time now to do it because it takes a lot of time and I have to explain. So I just did a general reading for the season of Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. Here's another card from.
Oh, that is pretty. I like that.
It's beautiful.
Holy water.
So it's available. The deck is available, and so primarily these two decks. There's another deck. I don't want to take up the time to show my decks, but there are some decks I do have. Like I said, seasonally I rotate them, and
You're our
sometimes.
guest, so you can share whatever you want to share. You're our guest.
So I work with those energies. I have a deck. I shouldn't say I should be ashamed of because it's my most expensive deck, and I've only used it twice. And I think because of the pricing and it has nice cold press gilding on it, I just do not want to mess it up. And I almost ruined a few cards from that deck because of my old practice, and I stopped after almost ruining these particular cards. I slept with the deck underneath my pillow, and I didn't realize the card stock was a little bit more, not fragile, but a little bit more sensitive. So I woke up and there were wrinkles in like 3 of the cards. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. I got some thick books that I had, and I just put those books on top of the cards just to weigh it out.
Like my dog used to do, splat.
Be careful when sleeping with your cards, people. Okay, just be careful.
Which deck was that, Aimee?
It's the just gonna have to bring it out.
Yeah, there's
here.
some decks on Etsy that are like 60, 70. There's one called the Circle of Doors or something. It's a Divine Feminine Tarot. It's gorgeous, black and white, but it's like $100 and some wow. Yeah. Not that I'm not, it's just
This one.
Mystical
Oh,
creatures.
my.
Oh, that looks
Yeah.
beautiful.
Baba Studios.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, Nancy knows her. There
Well,
we go.
I don't have any Baba Studio decks, but that's a beautiful deck.
The illustration looked beautiful, like
Oh,
an old time fairy tale book for us kids when we were younger.
and that's what I like. And these are the backs.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Green Man. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Shan would love
All
that.
of them. All on the back is Green Man.
My Shan wears a Green Man on his neck. That's his. That's his power. That's his. His necklace. His energy. Beautiful.
I'll show just one card again, just so people can.
And Jonathan says, "I don't have any Baba Studio decks."
This is a Page of Swords.
Oh, she is beautiful. Ginger would love that, I think, Nancy. The Fae.
Yeah.
Although she is a Gothic Fae, but I think she would.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
Too.
She's pretty choosy about the decks that she gets. She really is. But
those are beautiful.
I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one that I slept with and under the pillow, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it again. So I've only worked with it twice. This to me is almost winter solstice because it does have the red, gold. There's some green, and it kind of reminds me of Yule
Here
energy.
we go, wassailing among the leaves of green. Yes.
Yes. So I may bring this out. During the winter solstice Yule.
Oh, because that would be beautiful to get a reading from that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll be wearing gloves and wiping down the cards. There was one who was it? One person that was frequent on my channel, and I would do it with this because I hate fingerprints that show up on glossy.
I have to wash my hands a lot. Yeah.
I was always wiping the cards down, like I'm doing the live, and I have a little cloth and I'm wiping it down. It's a bit excessive, but yeah, she called me out on it. She goes, "Oh, here comes the cloth."
I have a question for you. Are there any decks that you use just for yourself and not for readings?
Good question.
It'll probably be that for now. It'll probably be the Tabula Mundi, the deck that I showed earlier, because it does have it does have Doth flavoring to it, and I have a little bit of Virgo in my chart, so details and specifics, I really want to explore those things, and I really want to feel confident with the deck before reading, like knowing every card, feeling that I get when I see the card, the imagery, the energy, the environment. I want to feel that when I work with a deck and I lay those cards, I can just fully go into it. I'm feeling right now, because the deck's just a few months old for me, I will probably be very specific with who I read with that deck, because the deck isn't something that you could do maybe a career reading, but the imagery isn't conducive to something like that. It's not contemporary at all. It's esoteric. So when I have esoteric decks, those tend to be the ones that I have to be careful with who I read for. Someone who understands esoteric, knows a little bit about the background of Doth and some of the occult. I will probably reach for that deck, because then they'll take a different perspective of my interpretation of working with that deck because of what the deck represents. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, like when you have a deck that you want to do a deep dive into, what is your process? Do you just immerse yourself in the book along with the cards, or do you just use them in readings for yourself? I think it's interesting how people get to know their decks.
Yeah.
And how they become special too.
Yeah. Let me let Spirit in. I already have an answer. He's right here at the door.
Yep, we got we're going to bring Spirit into the show.
Yeah.
And people who don't know Spirit is, he's gorgeous. Ozzy, come meet Spirit.
Well, I love the Wild Unknown because of the readings that Aimee has done for me with that deck.
There he is.
There he
Hi,
is.
Spirit.
Oh, he's gorgeous.
Hi,
oh my
beautiful.
goodness.
Look at those eyes.
Y'all
Hi,
are color
baby.
coordinated.
He's grown.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
grown.
He is gorgeous.
Those
He's
I
gonna
know,
eyes.
jump.
Spirit. I was just like, oh no, Mom, not again.
Deer in the headlights. He's like,
Yes.
ah.
So everybody, that is Spirit. Nancy, where you fit? Oh, sorry. Continue. I was.
I did want to get sidetracked.
Okay.
Remember your question, Heather.
Yes.
So, okay, the way I approach a new deck,
Yes, he does.
visually. Sometimes I read if there's a book like the Fifth Tarot, is there the book you have to buy separate. I tend to like to read that first a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it. I want to just read like maybe a few chapters and then close it. And then let's start going into the deck. And I break it out into the major arcana and I spend time with that. And then the minor arcana and I separate the court cards. I spend time with the minor arcana and then I go to the court cards. So same thing. I look at the imagery, the energy, how it feels, and then I do something as an exercise that I do in some of the recent workshops I did earlier this year. Is I shuffle the deck, and then like to spend 2 seconds, I look at the card and I create a series of stacks. Like, what's my favorite? What is the pile where maybe I don't like the deck or like the particular card? And then there's a part where I'm not sure. It could be either good or bad. So I create separate piles like that. And this is psychologically and also intuitively a good exercise for me because then I could see why with these cards I don't feel a liking to them. And then I spend time with that energy. And then the cards that I see that I like, I look through that and see what was the draw for me. But again, looky. Oh my God, looks like you're holding a black something. It's so dark where you are. Oh, wow. Tell me the name, Heather. Which one? Mozzie.
My Mozzie. Come on, you always look in the camera. He's like, no, Mom.
Oh, baby.
So, Mozzie, say hello.
Black.
There we go. There he is.
What color is his eyes? Are they gold or?
His eyes are yellow, but sometimes they do a little bit of green, and with the blue light, it enhances the green that's in his eyes. So.
Okay.
Hi,
Look at you.
Everybody.
Sorry, this is becoming the cat channel for a few minutes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Look.
He did my
Does look a little bit. A little bit.
Except he's more chunky these days, so you're not as thin as you used to be like that. He's like, I thought you were getting me food, Mom. How? With the claw. All right, sorry, Aimee. I just wanted to.
No, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
I have one more follow-up question on that. On the cards that you are not drawn to, you've got that pile and you start working with them. Mm-hmm. Do you change your mind on them?
Yeah. Because remember when I'm shuffling the deck and I'm looking at the cards for a split second, look at it. Mm-hmm. Look at it. And you're already going to find what you're going to like or not like. And so then I move it into a pile. Okay, people will probably go, no, I don't like this. But the butterfly, this makes me think twice. It's like, okay, this doesn't seem very positive, but this is a positive outcome that could come from it. Mm-hmm. So it's how I get this information in a matter of a few seconds. And so, yes, so Nancy, when I get to that negative, the pile that I'm just not happy with, I look at it again. Okay. And maybe I picked something specifically, but I didn't look at everything entirely. And then it's like, I'm good with this. And then it moves into the good pile. But there are a few cards that it could be just the artwork that just like, I can't do this card, but I'm going to. It's like a roommate, you take in this energy and you're getting to know it. And then when you get to know it, it's just like, oh, well, the energy is not perfect. So I'm going to have to work with it. You cannot, when you're doing a reading, you have to put your differences aside with a card that shows up that that you don't like, because you're doing a reading for someone. So you can't let that influence that you have fall into, your interpretation of that card, for someone else. So
And it keeps coming up again and again and again.
sometimes it does. And then at this point, it's just like, okay, all right. The
And
reading
Jonathan,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Jonathan says, I love doing deck interviews and wrote my own 8-card interview spread.
Excellent.
Very
Excellent.
interesting.
Some people have conversations. I've heard people like they have a conversation, like they say, what do I need to know about you? And then some cards come up and then they say, oh, you have an attitude, don't you? The deck is sassy, or the deck is, I don't think of it. The decks, though, for me, they are family. They are definitely a family for me. But I don't address it as with adjectives of sassy or it's an angry deck or anything. It's like it encompasses all of these different, personas.
Now, I'm just going to have maybe more of a comment. Or it could be a question you might want to share, because we all read differently. We all read on different topics, and we all choose to read because our ethics are all very different. Not saying one is better or one is not. Just we all, as readers, we resonate and feel energetically with kind of what questions we are comfortable with asking, or what we feel that we, unless spirit has, of course, a say, and be like, a couple instances here or there, you can answer or pull for this type of question. But Aimee, what I've noticed on your channel, what I love is that you don't do prescriptive, you said, or predictive, excuse me. Jessica Baron Reed, she goes, I don't do predictive, I do prescriptive. But no, Aimee you don't do predictive. Of course, the third party. I don't know about health or legal. I know you don't do politics, but I always thought it was interesting that you don't do anything that is predictive. And I was wondering maybe if you can explain. Yeah, maybe could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah.
And how you came about that?
Yeah, predictive is, and I have to explain this to people that I read, is when they want a clear answer on something that they're in the process of. They want to know the outcome. Am I going to find my true love? Well, that's entirely up to you, And so when someone asks questions that are leaning in a predictive sense, I could say, well, let's pull some cards and see what work is needed to focus on to get to that direction, if that's what you're looking for. If you want more success in your career, let's see what energy that maybe you're not focusing on, or the energy that's a little bit more not being used. Let's focus on that. And then you can utilize this and place it into the goals that you want. If you want to make $1 million, that involves work, that involves, it involves a lot of different variables. Anyone can make a lot of money. Okay. I feel it's just the work, the direction. You have to have a plan, so on and so forth, to make stuff like that happen. So predictive, I feel, when it comes to something like that, anyone can have these things. It just depends on the effort, the work, And when you're doing this, you're going to start seeing things happen and seeing if this energy of you wanting to have this successful part of whatever in your life, relationship, career, is actually what you really need. Okay, because sometimes things are what you want, I should say. Sometimes things that you want is actually not what you need. Okay. And you don't realize that until you start doing the work. You know, we start making a big deal about, oh, this, and this, and you start working towards it. And it's like, oh crap, I really, really do not want this, you know, and so you're going to have to like reassess where you want to take what originally what you want is actually not what you need. And so it's this process, and I explain this to people sometimes when it comes to what they want, and sometimes it helps them. You know,
I
sometimes
love
they're
it.
like,
One time you were doing a reading for someone when I was in the chat, and you gave her such good advice. And I mean, it was a very complicated, you know, sad situation. And at the very end of it, you know, you said, I have given you the tools, but it's your responsibility to pick them up and to do this, you know, rather than just thinking about it, or then asking somebody else for another reading that, you know, with the same question.
yeah,
It's work,
and
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's what the tarot is. You know, people say, "What's the secret for tarot?" Uh, well, for getting some sort of direction and outcome, it's work.
Yeah.
It, you know, it's no tarot
Can't
for
sit
me. I
back.
feel is no different than going to a therapist. You're spending time. It's no different than, you know, working towards a career. Are you putting all this energy? Are you making this effort? Do you really want to change? Do you really want to make this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Make the effort. Start taking those steps. I think with predictive, they just want a clear answer and know that's going to happen. You know,
Like
and
me
that
sometimes,
yeah.
especially with the move
Well,
for next
It's
year.
it's, you know, every situation's different, and
Mhm.
especially when there's a lot of transition, personal or physical move or whatnot. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Okay, don't rush it. If you start getting impatient and you start pushing this energy to make things happen further, you got to watch the kind of energy that you're pushing, because it could actually turn the natural direction of what is waiting for you. It could throw it into a different course, you know, and that's why I tell people, don't force the energy, don't force the work, just do and let whatever happens come to you. If you're meant to have this level of success, it'll come. Okay, just be patient. But again, you have to make
Love
these
that.
steps.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to work, you know,
Well, I think. Oh, sorry.
and I just, you know, I tell, and I can almost tell when I'm doing a reading for someone. I'm going to do the reading, and they leave. I go, I wish you guys all the luck. I hope you follow some of this. I don't say it to them, but it's just like I can just tell.
Yeah.
I had one reading that I did for a woman. I won't go into great detail about it, but she was concerned about the politics, what's going to be happening, you know, in the next few months and afterwards. She had so much fear. And I was trying to say to her, why are you wasting your energy on this fear? It's just putting in more fear and darkness and more uncertainty. Why
Yes.
can't you use that force of negativity, flip it around, put it positive? You know, push this energy, and negativity is heavy. So
Oh, yeah.
imagine this weight. Why can't we just turn it around and put it in something that can be more productive, that it could produce? I don't want to burn the house down. That it can
No, we
produce,
don't want you either.
that can start producing the results. So I was saying this to her in different ways. And the cards were just showing that she needs to make some changes. And then at the end, she says to me, I go, you know, you can make these changes happen if you want to do it.
Mhm.
And then she said to me, well, where's my Hawaii card? she wanted a card that showed that things were going to come easy to her. Not that Hawaii's easy, Jonathan, but
Yeah.
but she wanted something that was more easy for her, things that would come to her. And I go, when she said that, I go, it's here in the cards, ma'am. It's entirely up to you. If you want Hawaii, you can start working towards it.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
He said, just like that Hawaii card. And so it kind of saddened me a little bit, but again, I'm not responsible. I just send the message, and it's entirely up to everyone. Sorry, Nancy, it was long-winded, but I'm very clear. I'm very clear with people when it comes to readings like that. So,
And just really quick, Ange, I hope you feel better, sweetheart. Go take your hot shower, relax, take it easy, and I hope you feel better soon. I'll send you lots of welcome, lots of healing energy and good vibes and stuff your way. Lots and lots of rest. Thank you for being a wonderful mom.
Yes. Relax, Ange, okay? Just relax. That's all I want to say.
Kristen Louise had said too, I prefer not doing predictive, but 90% of people want predictive readings. And I think a lot of this, I'm just going to kind of put this out there. And again, I'm not judging how people in our community read, but there are a lot of channels and readers who will take the predictive and they will make predictions by looking at the cards and sometimes kind of sugarcoating. I've seen a few times too. And to make, to help maybe bring people back or to maybe help with subscriptions. I get it, but I think sometimes they really are trying to, with the prescription, but we need, I think, to remind people that this is currently what I'm seeing in the cards, but this can always change. This is, you have the power, and oh, go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I was just going to say a lot of that, if you have to ask the question, you already know the answer.
Oh, yeah.
You just want somebody to tell you something that makes you feel good, But I mean, if you have to ask if so-and-so loves me, you already know the answer. If you have to ask, it's no. If you don't. I mean, that's my story.
And she's sticking to it.
Yeah.
And Ange had responded, most people want a quick answer, but they don't realize that the cards are a self-reflective tool and there's work that needs to be done. I don't like third party or predictive. Exactly. And I think, a lot of people, in our community want people to feel good and to feel empowered. So sometimes they'll be like, well, you put the intention out there, spirit, so sometimes for me, it's just a bit of a fine line. And I do like how you mentioned, let's look at the energy, let's not try to predict a timing or something. Like Allison and I someone asked us Friday night for a timing. Am I going to find my home that I want? Am I going to be finding that home, soon? And it's just like, there are some decks where people feel like, well, there are created Oracle decks that have timing cards on it. But at the same time, though, again, I even think sometimes maybe that might be a little bit of trying to watch what, I don't know if that's necessarily helpful. Oh, here's the other one, Aimee.
Something like that's fluid. It constantly changes. I mean, it depends on, what the querent is actually doing. If they're following through with something or what. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
She wants food. That's why she's here. This is Ziva. I named her Ziva David after the NCIS character, the badass Ziva David, because she's got that attitude. So that's my mama. She turns 17 next month.
17? Wow. Bless your heart, both of you.
So that's the mama. So daddy feeds you, not mommy. Okay? Her looking at me. So I'm going to let you go now. Okay? There you go.
Well, right. I mean, ideally, when it comes to just doing readings, if you know where your stance is, ethics, and so on and so forth, I feel it's important that you make it clear. A lot of people who come for readings, they don't want to hear what your ethics are. They want a reading and that's it. And so that's why I'm saying that sometimes. And I think there are a few tarot readers, I'm definitely one of them, that when we're providing this kind of information, are we really making a difference for people? It's like, it seems like, okay, they're paying us for time, and it's just like, we would like to see some results from it. But, that's entirely up to those individuals. So I'm learning to like cut that off when they leave. That's it. And if they come back, I did have someone that I did a reading for earlier this year who was going back and forth with things. And I basically was saying, you just got to stop asking me questions to pull cards for you. I did pull some cards, but I go, look, and we would have a conversation. You already know what you need to do. Why aren't you doing it? And so he listened and he did some work, he did some actions, and he was up for a position for an education, and he got it. I said, look, you did it. I didn't do anything. But he sent me an email. He goes, thank you so much for encouraging me to do this.
Yes.
I could have gone the other way and just not done anything. But
Yeah.
I did it, and I got the position, and he's moved. He's up in Seattle now. Or not Seattle, but outside one of the islands in Washington, outside of Seattle. So he did it. So that's an example of someone, he knew it. I think he just needed the encouragement and just a little bit more information about, where to go with this. And he got
Wonderful.
it.
Yeah.
Anyone, you can fulfill whatever you need. So.
And Jonathan shared, if I do a predictive reading, I always preface with, this is the most likely outcome if nothing changes. But knowing what you learn from a reading can change the outcome because you can do something.
Yes,
like that too.
I agree, Jonathan.
I love that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you could be very clear and direct, that removes you even more. I'm not responsible. You're doing this.
Exactly. Some people think, we have some people too that hit the same channels, asking the same questions, over and over, hoping for a different answer when, it's like, okay, one or two of us have given you, something very similar, but, you have to do the work. A lot of times people don't want to do the work, they just want things to come to them. And sometimes in certain parts of the YouTube community with spiritualism, some people do promote, well, you write down attention, you put it out there, and that's all you have to do. You just know that universe will provide. But then they take it out where it's almost like then the person doesn't have to do anything. But it has to be with that little antidote at the end of it. The universe will provide, but you have to do other things to show the universe that this is what you want to do, and to set the intention. And and again too, if you focus too much, like Aimee, you said earlier, with the fear and adding the fear to it that it's not going to happen, that deters too and takes from the energy. So it's just having to learn again, and a perfect timing for Mabon, finding that balance, and with Libra season, within all of us. And I think that wraps in so beautifully right there.
It's having that communication with yourself. It's basically checking in with yourself after you do a reading, or after you have had a reading. Check in with yourself, and how did you feel? What was the message that you felt? How do you perceive this? What's your perception, the mind and the heart? I'm always making reference to that as well. How does your mind feel about or see about the situation? How do you feel about the situation? It's connecting these two realms. Because for the most part, we tend to overreact. We become irrational sometimes when it comes to making choices, or emotionally lash out. It's like, slow down. Let's just kind of see everything beforehand, and move in a very steady fashion. I feel when it comes to approaching something new.
Now, Amy, do you plan on doing like any teaching? Like, I know some people in our community, they'll offer classes through a website or through a Zoom or something. Do you have any plans or intentions moving forward?
I want to. I do have a workshop, which you know about. Um, it's going to be, well, in a week and a half. Um, it's tarot for teens, but it's not going to be virtual. It's going to be
Cute.
here at the local library, where I was very happy to have their approval. There's a librarian I was working with in the teen section, and I gave her my proposal. And she goes, you know what? I think this is a wonderful idea. Let's pass it to the supervisor, so on and so forth. And they approved it. So tarot for teens, the reason why I'm doing tarot
Awesome.
for teens. And ideally, I like to do this online.
Mhm.
But
I
let me
would
say
sign up. You're a wonderful teacher. I know I would learn so much from you. I really
it's
Yes.
just it's just to keep it very basic, because I think, like I said, I was a teenager when I got to the tarot. There's so much information. There's also misinformation about the tarot, and I kind of want to make it clear for those who take part in this to understand that it's not witchcraft, it's not devil, it's not occultish, it's nothing on that darker side. There are decks that cover all of that spectrum and more some, you know. So I want to introduce to them in a very simple manner how to work with the tarot. And basically, when you're a teen, there's a lot of stuff going on. So it's how to connect, and also how to problem solve situations by themselves, understanding certain situations through the tarot. And doing so, they'll learn something about themselves. They'll find maybe, wow, I can actually do this. You know, they start building a sense of self-empowerment. So the ages are going to be from 13 to 18. And um, and we'll see what's going to happen. You know, as for some, I'm going to be teaching something like this for teens, and I'm going to just keep it open. You know, I want to get their feedback. I want to see what they get, what they don't understand, so on and so forth. So that's something I have,
That's
but it is in
beautiful.
person. And maybe, you know, if it's successful, if the teens are interested in having more, um, maybe I'll do something like once, twice a month. We meet at the library and we do some exercises, so on and so forth. I just don't want to do something once and then that's it, walk away from it. So the ball is dropped and they have nothing to go, you know, to follow up
That's
with.
nice.
So yes, I would like to, at some point, I want to do different stuff with the decans. A couple of years ago, I wanted to introduce tarot astrology by using the decans and the tarot, but I didn't get any interest. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe
Timing
it's not.
wasn't right. Exactly.
Yeah, you know,
Yep.
it was ready, and I'll see. But yes, yeah, I definitely want to teach courses online, in person. I prefer in person because
Me too.
I like that interaction.
Me
So if
too.
anyone's interested, if you like to have me do a course of some sort, you know, just throw out some suggestions.
Hmm.
I have some ideas, but I'd like to hear it from other people.
And Kristen, I know, has been doing workshops. She says, I do workshops at a college, but I have 1.5 hours or an hour and a half to teach them all about tarot. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
challenge.
I
Yes.
have the same amount of time. I have the same amount of time, but it's doable. Yeah, I'm just going to let the individuals that are in the workshop guide me as to how much time we're going to be spending with things. You know, it's not going to be me telling you do this. It's going to be interactive. I think it's very important.
Hard to offer in person when I'm in the middle of the biggest ocean on the planet. Yeah, Jonathan, you might. I don't know if you want to rethink, but nah. I mean, I
Oh,
live by
come
the lake
on.
where you are. It's beautiful there. But you can always do like Zoom groups. Sometimes, I think once a week. I think Diana or Val from Illumination Portal, they hold a Zoom. I think on Monday afternoons. Sometimes they do it on Thursday. and things like that. I would love to be able to do something like that and just have other readers come in. We can, if someone has a question, all pulling cards and kind of giving our feedback. And I miss that, being able to, well, this is what this card represents to me.
Yeah.
And then someone says, well, this is what and it opens your eyes to another perspective. So I'd like that interaction,
Yeah.
best in person, but we have Zoom now, so that helps narrow the distance, Jonathan, between being here and the discussion. So
Well, it also opens up to people who just can't be here where we are or wherever I am
exactly.
teaching the classes, So
Exactly.
anyone who's in England or whatnot, we just have to deal with the time change.
Yeah, our friends. Nancy, did you have a question or anything? Okay, so ladies,
I have just thoroughly enjoyed this.
me too.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to have to watch some on playback because trying to watch the chat, and I
most
know
definitely.
I'm missing. Ladies, we're at 6:22. I know Nancy's had a very long day. She had a couple back-to-backs, and I know Aimee, you might be wanting to get ready for dinner or go for a walk or take care of Spirit. But did you ladies want to do maybe like a collective for Mabon?
Yes,
Like
I
focus on. Mm-hmm. Like we can.
Ready?
Yeah, Mabon readings. What can we harvest? What can we bring balance to in our lives? And just pull some cards. 2 to 3. Usually Nancy and I pull, but sometimes a couple extra ones. Want to pop out. They have something to say. And Jamie, I appreciate that. You are all fantastic. Oh,
Thank
I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd like to hear that. And hello, Holly. Holly DeShane has just joined us. Hello, Holly. If you're not familiar, Holly, this is Aimee. She's Mystic Rose Tarot 888. We have to all remember to put, because you're right, Aimee. There are a lot of Mystic Roses on YouTube. So
I don't think it was like that.
888, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it was like that when I first started the channel. And I thought, okay, this name really works. And then just like recently, like 6 months ago, someone told me there's another Mystic Rose that's on YouTube. I'm like, okay, what can I do? All right. So focusing on the energy of Mabon, right?
Yes. Yep. The harvest, the balance, the beauty.
Okay, there's the first. Oh.
Ooh.
I'm ready, Heather.
Okay, Miss Nancy. There you go.
The first card that I pulled is the Magician. And, we all have the tools that we need to manifest what we desire. And during this season of Mabon, as we are harvesting things, we need to remember to come together with our families and like-minded people, and be the light in our community. I think the light is so important, and this is just such a special time of year. It's such a time of inner growth and reverence that I just love embracing this season. And the goddess that I chose is Spider Grandmother. I have clear vision and see beneath the surface. And as we go forward in this season, let's look beyond what we see on the surface and see things that are deeper that will enrich our lives, and enrich our relationships and our spiritual walk. And that's what I have for y'all.
Thank you, Miss Nancy. And I'm going to give it over to Aimee. And Sonia says she has subscribed, so thank you, Sonia.
Thank you. All right, so I got 4 cards. The fourth card is actually from the Witch's Oracle. I will go through this very quickly so I don't eat up time. first three cards that I got from the Wildwood Tarot. Okay, Seven of Vessels. I got morning. Okay. We are in our waning time of the year, so everything, I'm not going to say mourning is like for loss, but I think this is this card here in particular. It's ancestral, kind of looking back to of any of our closest relatives that may have passed away recently. You know, spending this time connecting to this energy of their presence not being here anymore, but also the legacy, what has been left behind for us. Okay. I think when there is a loss, there is always something to gain. And I definitely experienced that last year. So even though we are waning and this is energy that's slowing down right now, and if there is a connection to ancestors, especially someone very close to you who has passed away, acknowledge that energy, okay? Acknowledge what they gave you and what you can gain from that and what you can learn and become a better part of who you are. Okay, so again, whenever there's a loss, there's always something to gain from a situation like that. Again, this is the Seven of Vessels. Second card I got here is our Ace of Cups relating to fire. So this is actually a really good segue to go from a loss to a gain. What is of inspiration? Okay, what is the thing that we can take um, from ancestral past, something that we may have inherited? Where can we take this and take it to something that becomes the greater part of who we would like to be? This is inspiration. This is fuel. This is creation. Okay, this is energy of movement. Use something that was gifted to you, something that was passed down to you. Put it to good use. Put it to work. Be creative with it. The other card I have here, Five of Bows, also fire. Look at this. We have empowerment. Okay, it's working with this tool. Okay, and when we start creating and we start making this movement towards things are going to start developing. Things are going to start shape shifting, but we're going to start seeing it moving in something that is of great importance for us. And when we see this and knowing that we did it, not someone else, well, maybe the influence from ancestors or whatever was gifted to us, but we molded this. We created this existence where we're going. We become empowered. We have the sense of self that feels like we did this or I did this. And now with the tools, with whatever was given to us, we took it to wherever we wanted to take us to the next level. And then here from the Witch's Oracle, unification. This is a wonderful card where we're unifying the energies of masculine and feminine energy. All of these energies of softness, all this energy of hardness, external and internal, we're working with these forces during this whole process. So we're looking here at a lot of inspiration at this time. Even though we're in a waning time of the year, we have a lot of good energy that is still at our disposal to make use of. Do not waste energy, even though stuff is slowing down. It's a time of reflection, but it is a time of not really being entirely still. Okay, there's a time and a place for looking at things, reflecting, but we still need to keep moving. So I'm done. I'm sorry to hold up time.
Oh my goodness,
wow.
Aimee. No, not at all.
Beautiful, Aimee.
Keep going.
And that Ace of Bows. Oh my God, I love that. Of course, being Saggy.
Yeah.
That bow and arrow.
Inspiration.
And Jonathan says, I love how the wildwood creates a comic strip of deep spiritual meaning. Comic strip, both. I love that.
Yeah,
the deck is beautiful. So I have four, and they just read right across, and they really connect with what both what Nancy and Aimee both pulled. And I have, so the overall energy on my deck was earth and getting
Yeah.
grounded. So this is grounding, and I am using the Witch's Wisdom Oracle. And so the overall energy is getting grounded. The time of year slowing, the nights are getting longer. Time to really get grounded, get re-rooted, being thankful for what we have, giving back to as we harvest, as we take whatever it is in our lives that we are harvesting or bringing to us in that bounty, making sure from time to time to touch the ground or a tree or look at nature and thank the mother, the great mother and the great father, for the bounties, that we do have, and getting really grounded. So I love that overall energy. And for this season, Nancy, I think you had your witchy, you had the magician. And so I got the wand, all about intention. So moving forward into the rest of the year and the season, making sure that once we get grounded, we're able to set our intentions and what we want to manifest and bring and work with the universe to bring into our lives. Is that co-creation together, tapping into our inner power. Um, Put on your witch's hat, but tapping into that power. And what a lot of people don't realize is the witch's hat with the point represented the drawing up of the power, the drawing down. So it always like the power, kind of like when you think about your 5Gs and stuff. This is the energy. So where you bring up your power and where you manifest. So connecting in with your power, and when you do, you find fulfillment. I got the chalice, the sacred chalice. You'll find emotional fulfillment. Cups are also artistic in ways. It's connecting with our creative selves. Thank you, Agador. He just started singing. I just love that bird. Tapping into your intuition, the divine feminine, and just reconnecting, to the earth. So that's what I have for my cards for us for the collective.
Thank you, Nancy and Heather.
Oh, thank you, Aimee, for joining us. Aimee, do you have anything coming up that you're going to be? I know you're very spontaneous. So
I'm going to follow up with the Tabula Mundi. I am planning, I will do the series that I started with the Tabula Mundi. I want to introduce people to this deck. So I already did the majors. I still need to do the minor arcana, like discussing going through the different suits and also the court cards of this deck in particular. And so that's going to be my next project. Not really project, but that's the next thing that I want to record. I'll see if I can do it this evening. And I will do lives. I will do live readings, but yes, it is spontaneous. Just in all honesty, I've decided that I have to let this channel just flow and go naturally instead of staying on a schedule, because I just can't do it. I just can't maintain a schedule and whatnot. So I need to earn income. For now, it's outside of YouTube, but in time, I want to get more support so that I can do this more here and get some income based on this, and do some of them and move away from some of the mundane work that doesn't really put me so much into this. Because I come home and I'm drained, and
people don't realize reading is very draining.
It is.
There's some nights when Nancy and I and Ginger have done like 2 or 3 hours, and it's just like by the time we're done, we just want to.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy.
It is a lot of work. And Jonathan says, Aimee, did you back the Telos tarot?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And Ange came back too. So welcome back, Ange.
Yes.
You jumped right back in.
Yeah. So,
yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Can I ask, what are you two ladies up to?
Nancy?
Well, tomorrow night I'm going to be on Ginger Faye's channel. We're starting a new series, Whispers of Heaven and Earth.
Okay.
And she's going to do, I think, Fae readings, and I'm going to do angel readings, which I love. And then at 2 p.m. on Friday, I'm doing readings with Sun Psychic Jean.
Okay.
So that's what I have.
For me tomorrow, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. on Spiritual Rain, Francis channel, Spiritual Rain, along with Jackie's Crystal Moon and I, we get together for our Tuesday Tarot Talks, or we like to call it TTT. And this week we're going to be starting the suits. We just finished the Major Arcana last week. And so we're going to start focusing on the suits, and it's going to be the Ace of Wands. And Aimee, what we do is that with the majors, we were doing it 2 at a time. I'm not sure if we're going to do Ace and 2 tomorrow, but we just pull out our favorite cards from the decks that we have that represents that suit or that card, and we talk about why we like it. We share. I mean, it's really wonderful. It's just like an in-depth. We do readings at the end. Rain usually has a nice little question for us to pull cards on that particular cards that we were reading that day, and we'll do that. But it's just really a lot of fun because you get to go through your decks and share your favorite. For us, it's going to be Ace of Wands. So I have already some decks I'm thinking about pulling out my favorite Ace of Wands, and we get to show them and share. Rain has one that's a fairy tale, kind of like tarot or oracle, and that she pulls from, and Jackie pulls from her. She's got multiple different ones, and with me being an artist, I love going through and finding my favorite, and I'll just go through. And I like reading from the books on some of these decks because they're RWS based, but I love looking at the perspective of the writers as well. So I will read from the book and share, like my Hush Tarot. It has birds, it has rabbits and hares, and it has skulls, and I mean it's just full of life, decay, and animals. It's a beautiful deck. Allison got me into it, and so did Ginger, and so I love sharing with people. Jeremy's perspective, about the earth. And so it's a wonderful show. I enjoy doing it with the ladies, and that's on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. And then on Fridays, I have my show with Allison, Amanda, and I, Tropical Empress and Spirit. And we'll be doing that this Friday. And pretty much it's going to be a quiet week for me, unless I do a pop up somewhere. So,
wow, that's enough. I feel that's a lot. Do no more than
I love this time of year to slow down. This is the time of year when I nurture myself. I think that's very important.
That's what I'm saying. For no matter what time of the year it is, the energy is slowing, but keep doing stuff. You know what I mean? Just whether it is for yourself.
And for people who don't know, Nancy and I will be taking the Sunday off. Nancy and I started on Sunday because we got into junk journals and crafting. We started doing like a little crafting where we just share our crafting, our junk journals, our pictures, our stories behind. We've had a couple of people joining us, so we've been starting that. And yes, Jonathan, on October 4th, Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 9 a.m. Jonathan time. I call it Jonathan time.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's hard. There's no reading involved. I go live. Jonathan joins me, and we pull out our paints, and we do a live painting. We sit
wow.
we share art and stuff. So Nancy and Jonathan join me in my artistic endeavors. Because I'm an artist. I went to school for art, Aimee. And so I'm an artist, and so I wanted to bring that into my channel. And Jonathan and Nancy join me, and then we have sometimes other readers join us as well. And yes, people, the poetry will come back. We're waiting for Karen to get settled in, and we'll be doing the poetry again as well. But, I have a move to get ready for next year, so I really have to cut back a little bit on a lot of shows so that, I can focus on getting ready for, the next part of my journey, Shannon and I journey. So,
Yeah.
but everybody, thank you for joining us. Aimee, again,
Thank
thank
you.
you. It was an honor
It
to
was
have you
fun.
on,
Yes.
and I had a lot of fun. And everybody, have a great rest of your night. Have a great week, and
Yes.
we'll see you on the next time in chat or on a show. So, bye.
Bye bye, everybody.